Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Balakand, chapter number 16, the Divine Payasa. The recitation begins now. To which the Lord Narayana replied in feigned ignorance, "Is there anything that he does not know? Well, my children, I shall do even as you wish. But I do not see clearly the easiest and the most effective method of bringing about his death. You have thought over it long and deeply, and maybe you can suggest the best course." The Devatas bowed low before the eternal Supreme Lord and rejoined, "O Lord Vishnu, the sinful wretch contrived to win the favor of Brahma, the foremost and the best of us. O Lord, the sinful wretch contrived to win the favor of Brahma, the foremost and the best of us all, who, pleased by his terrible austerities, granted him immunity from death at the hands of everyone in all the worlds above and below. But he has, in the height of his contempt, omitted men from his list. Safe through his boons from every object in the universe, as he fondly thinks, his pride is equalled but by his cruelties. The groans of the insulted Devas and the shrieks of the ravished damsels cry out against him, and the bleached skeletons of the holy sages whom he had murdered in cold blood. Man and man alone is his fate, and from him he meets his death. Do thou take human form and slay him in battle dire." Then the Lord Vishnu said, "I shall come down among men as the sons of King Dasaratha, who is even now performing a holy rite to get a boy in his old age." He ended, and having given leave to the assembled celestial hosts to depart, vanished then and there, lauded by the rejoicing Devatas. Soon after, Rishishringa, in the course of the rite he was conducting, made an offering unto the fire Ahavaniya, when there rose out of it a radiant presence of vast proportions. Like a towering peak he stood, and the blazing fire or the noonday sun was as nothing before the blinding glory of that mighty one. His face was fiery red, and the hair upon it was a hue of molten gold, even as the tawny mane of the monarch of the forest. Clad in robes of reddish black, his beautifully proportioned limbs were adorned with lovely ornaments of inconceivable might and power, even as a royal tiger in the flush of his strength and fierceness. His voice sounded as the great war drums that filled the warrior's heart with fire and energy. His hands were closed around a golden vessel of exquisite workmanship, silver-covered, as lovingly as ever a lover's arms were twined around the neck of his beloved. And this was full of divine payasa. He turned to the king and said, "I am a man sent to you by the four-faced one, Brahma." Dasaratha replied with folded hands, "Lord, has thy journey hither been a pleasant one? What does my lord want with his servant?" "Only this," said the radiant one. "The gods are pleased with thee and thy horse sacrifice and putreshti yajnas, and have sent thee this payasa. It confers glory and joy, and more than anything else, the son you so much yearn for. Accept it. Let your queens partake of it, and sons four shall be thine. This is what you have toiled for ever so long through horse sacrifices and vows innumerable." "Thy command shall be obeyed," replied the king in awe and reverence. And receiving the payasa sent him by the Devas, he bowed low unto the divine messenger and went round him in respect, and his heart leaped for very joy, even as that of a beggar that has come upon a precious treasure. And the mighty being, having accomplished his mission, disappeared into the fire from which he sprang. Thereafter, the king concluded the rite and retiring to his inner apartments, said to his queens, "This divine Payasa, the gift of the celestials, will bear you sons. Do you partake of it?" And their faces shone thereat, even as the sky illuminates in the radiance of the autumn moon. He then distributed it among them thus: one half to Kaushalya, 1/4 to Sumitra, and 1/8 to Kaikeyi. But to give the remaining 1/8 to her would be to place her on equal level with Sumitra, her elder, and that should never be. So he gave the remaining 1/8 to Sumitra. The queens were highly satisfied with this distribution of the payasa and deemed themselves blessed in being allowed to partake of it. They ate it and shone brighter throughout the period of pregnancy than the smokeless fire of the brilliant sun. And the old king saw it. His heart was lifted off its weight of sorrow, and he rejoiced even as the great Indra, honored in heaven by the Siddhas and sages. Mangalam Koshalendraya Mahaniya Gunabde Chakravarti Dhanurjaya Sarva Bhaumaya Mangalam.